First item on the agenda, agenda item 1.1, Land Acknowledgement. The town of Coaldale acknowledges that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot peoples of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot peoples past, present, and future while recognizing their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. The town of Coaldale is also home to Métis District 1 foothills. Agenda item 1.2, conflict of interest declaration, pecuniary and non-pecuniary. Are there any in the room this afternoon? None declared. Moving on to the acceptance of the agenda, agenda item 2.1 for the meeting of today, July 3rd, 2025. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, could I get someone to make a motion that council adopt the regular council meeting agenda for July 3rd, 2025 as presented? Councillor Pickering makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 3.1, adoption of previous minutes. In our agenda package, we had the regular council meeting minutes from our June 9th meeting. Were there any errors or omissions in those meetings? Deputy Mayor Reis.
Thank you, Mayor Van Rijn. I believe there was a clerical error regarding items 13.1 and 13.2. It was noted that Councillor Abrey recused himself from both agenda items. However, it was only 13.2 that he recused himself from.
13.2. Thank you. Our municipal clerk made note of that. Any other errors or omissions? Seeing none, could I get someone to make a motion that council adopt the regular council meeting minutes from June 9th, 2025 as amended? Deputy Mayor Reis makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to the special council meeting minutes from June 19th, 2025. Were there any errors or omissions in those minutes? Seeing none, could I get someone to make a motion that council adopt the special council meeting minutes from June 19th, 2025 as presented? Councillor Saylor makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And I omitted to make announcement at the beginning of the meeting that Councillor Abrey will not be in attendance this afternoon. He was hoping to Zoom in, but he's in a bad reception area, so he let our municipal clerk know that it's not going to happen today. Moving on to, we have a public hearing coming up at 5:05 p.m. If we could have our Director of Growth and Investment, Cameron Mills, come and make himself comfortable. And this will be regarding Land Use Bylaw Amendment 923-P-05-25. Cameron, whenever you're ready, I'll call the meeting to order at 5:05 p.m.
Thank you very much, Mayor Van Rijn. Take the opportunity to speak briefly on the issue. The Land Use Bylaw 923-P-05-25 is a amendment to the Land Use Bylaw with respect to Schedule 13 dealing with sign regulations. And it's a revision to the regulations specifically regarding election signage. We did pass first reading of this bylaw on May 20th. So administration was directed to prepare for consideration an amending bylaw to revise the regulations pertaining to election signs, also referred to as political posters throughout the bylaw. Currently, the land use bylaw restricts the placement of election signs on town-owned property, but provides for an allowance for signs posted on boulevards or road rights-of-way adjoining parks and playing fields. And the proposed amendment would prohibit election signs from being posted on boulevards and road rights of way adjoining parks and playing fields, fundamentally putting us in line with regulations as seen in the city of Lethbridge. So the change would be that it will now read, signs shall not be posted within the property boundaries of any existing town-owned land or facility, or any sidewalks or road right-of-way adjacent to town-owned land or facilities, including boulevards and road rights-of-way adjoining parks and playing fields. With the proposed amendment, I'll note that certainly election signage will still be an allowable use within the town of Coaldale and encouraged. However, that will be restricted to private property. So if someone wants to support a political candidate during an election, they're certainly welcome to do so on their own private property with no requirement for a permit or any interaction with town administration in order to do that. We did advertise the notice of the public hearing for 2 consecutive weeks in the Sunny South News, as well as featuring it on the town's website. Included a QR code in that circulation. We did not receive any feedback from the members of the community on this particular topic in advance of the public hearing. And the public hearing provides for members of the public the opportunity to provide their input to council on the proposal prior to us giving consideration to second and third reading. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions council might have.
Thank you. Any questions, comments for our presenter? So a little bit of background for our viewers at home. This came about after the federal election that we had a few months ago. And that was to do with federal election signs in the town of Coaldale, where we had lots of vandalism. We've had some obscenity, graffiti, spray painted on roadways, and so this is one reason why this is before us. I had a phone call this afternoon from a resident that was supportive of this and thought it was a good idea. So that's everything I have. Any members of council have any questions, comments? So then I'll ask if members of Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Mayor, and through to Cam. Thank you so much for bringing this forward this afternoon. And my only question to you is: there going to be a fine I guess sort of a fine cost to this in terms of any type of infractions?
Thank you for the question. Would have to leave that up to our bylaw enforcement folks. I would imagine that most likely, if signs were placed in the boulevard, the first order of business would be letting a candidate know. Obviously, this is a change, and so the assumption, I assume, would probably be that a lack of awareness first. But certainly, there are provisions within our bylaws to fine if we find that behavior continues.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much, Cam.
Seeing no further questions or comments, I'll ask council if they have sufficient information to make a decision on land use bylaw amendment 923-P-05-25 regarding election signs. Thank you. I'll declare the public meeting closed at 5:08 p.m. Cameron, you can just stay there. We're going to jump ahead to agenda item 7.1. And that's regarding the land use bylaw amendment we just had the public hearing on. Again, 923-P-05-25 regarding second and third readings. Do you have any else to add, Ken?
Thank you, Mayor Van Rijn. No additions from administration's position.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions, comments from our members of council? Seeing none, could I get someone to entertain making a motion that council provides second reading of land use bylaw amendment 923-P-05-25 as presented? Councillor Beekman makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And finally, I need someone to sponsor the motion that council provide third and final reading of land use bylaw amendment 923-P-05-25. Councillor Pickering makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jumping ahead to agenda item 10.1, council and committee reports. I drew the short straw this month regarding I'll be reporting on the link pathway, and our municipal clerk is going to put up a slide for me that shows the route of the link pathway, please. So one update that has changed since the last time we spoke about this, if you're looking at that diagram kind of in a dead center where the yellow line kind of goes straight north, goes over and comes back down again, the committee was able to negotiate with a landowner that was hesitant to begin with, that is now going to allow the pathway to go across their property, and that'll shorten the pathway by 1.3 kilometers. So that was excellent news, and we're very appreciative of the landowner for realizing the merit of this project and being willing to make those amendments. So the next item that we're going to be doing this year, and I'll ask our municipal clerk to show us the slide of the tunnel. So that's going to be a square concrete tube that is 186 feet long, 10 feet wide, and 8 feet high. And that'll be going under Highway 512, or known as the Jail Road. And that's budgeted to take place this year. And it's amazing what these items cost, but we've had some in-kind donations made towards this, including the construction of that tunnel, the concrete portion of it. So before the in-kind donations, that little tunnel cost $1.8 million. And then with our in-kind donations, we're hoping to get that down to approximately 1.4 million. And then once that project is done, that'll be it for 2025 for the Coaldale portion of it. We're working with the Link Pathway Committee and also the town of Coaldale, and not to put our CAO on the spot, but one of the things that are really needed, and Lana, if you could put up that other slide with the signage. So that sign is being installed now. So anybody that goes from Coaldale Nurseries and goes south approximately a kilometer, that'll be the entrance to the MPE link pathway that takes you 4.7 kilometers to the Jail Road or Highway 512. With this being complete now, myself and I'm sure many other members of council and in our administration and staff get asked repeatedly where people park. So we need to get a parking lot in there. And one of the hiccups that we have is the area structure plan for the west development is not quite ready yet, where this parking lot can go. We know where we would like to have it. And members of the link pathway on the executive, we're going to reach out to the Patets. Did I say that name correctly? About whether or not they could temporarily park on their property. Has there been any progress on that?
We have been in discussion with some different landowners in the area to look at a long-term solution for a parking lot. At this time, we're in the process of getting an appraisal done so we can have a better appreciation of what land would cost for this kind of purpose. I can't provide the details of the who or the where, but we are mindful of the need for a permanent solution. But I think reaching out to a neighboring landowner for temporary parking might be a good idea as a bridge gap solution.
Thank you, because that is currently a huge problem right now, because people even that live in Colda that want to be able to bike to the start of the pathway, the only way they can do it is to go on the highway shoulder right now to get there. There was some discussion about whether or not they could follow the canal that goes through Land Lakes golf course, but that was we shared with these people that they shouldn't be doing that because there's a liability risk for the golf course. So other than that, what they plan on, there's a few things they're going to be doing on the first phase from Coaldale to the Highway 512. If anybody's out in that area, you'll see there's a little picnic shelter that's being built. There's going to be signage going up, benches, kilometer markings, and they're hoping to, and I will admit it to say that originally is once we do the underground tunnel, that'll be it for 2025 for this area, but then they're going to start on 43rd Street. So by the Tim Hortons to the east, there's that little subdivision called Fairview, and they're going to come start from 43rd Street from Fairview, and it'll come out by the Tim Hortons intersection, and then they're going to work their way back east, and that'll give Lethbridge residents an opportunity to use the link pathway coming from their part of the project. And there's still some land negotiations going on to finalize. And I can't remember if it's the federal government they're dealing with because we're close to the Correctional Institute there, that they have verbal agreements, but the paperwork has not been completely done yet. So there's a little holdback for that. From a grant perspective and cost perspective, they have been very successful on getting grants. So far, we've got $15,000 from the Community Foundation grant. The Trans-Canada Trail system, which we are now a part of, we were awarded $75,000 for that. CFEP large of $1 million. They received for that sign that Lana put up, that Blackfoot signage. We received $2,000 for that. We received a $25,000 grant from TCT Underpass Research, and also another $8,500 for them to go towards signage. Our own Coaldale Community Grant Fund, they received $8,000 for that, $2,500 from Walmart, and the Trans-Canada Trail Capital Grant for the underpass, they received $60,000 for that. And they have quite a few grants that are outstanding that are in excess of what the project total cost will be. So they're slowly hoping that these grants are going to be successful so that we can get this project done in the next 24 months. With that being said, I'll open it up. Any questions, comments on the link pathway? Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you so much for that really in-depth report. It really helps me as an alternate as well and understand a little better as to what we're working with here. Two quick questions for you, Mayor. There will be some savings from the 1.3 kilometers that will be not needed to be built out, I would suspect.
That's correct.
And the second one is the time frame for the tunnel to be built. Will Highway 512 have to be shut down for that? Do you know?
It will be, but not for a very long period of time. It's going to go out for tender, so I can't speak out of turn on what that entails. But we were told at one of our meetings that it would be shut down for a short period of time. Any other questions? I cannot make my own motion, so I get someone please to make a motion to adopt the link pathway update as information. Councillor Chapman. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Under correspondence, we have a letter under agenda item 11.1, Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services, Mike Ellis, regarding the police service body worn cameras. And I believe that was the only piece under correspondence. So could I get any questions on that item? Councillor Reis?
Thank you, Mayor Van Rijn. This is going to go through to our CAO, Hastings. My question, so in the letter, Mike Ellis announced that all police services under provincial jurisdiction would be required to equip frontline officers with body-worn cameras, and as such, the implementation of digital evidence management system would be incorporated. So, with the understanding that the government of Alberta is committed to advancing this system with financial assistance of $7,899 may be available for municipalities annually for 3 years to help cover some of the costs. I'm curious to know if administration has looked into this avenue to reimburse our municipality if we're are available to our municipality.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor Reis, for the question. This is a funding avenue that we're going to pursue, and our intention is to receive the max of eligible funds for this program. I will say that this doesn't cover 100% of the cost of this type of equipment, but it's certainly a good acknowledgement and a good start from the province about the bill that we'll be eventually footing for this equipment. One other document that's germane to this discussion is the 5-year service plan that the RCMP updates once a year. And so what I can do is ask our staff sergeant, or our acting staff sergeant in this case, to provide a bit of a refresher to council on what are some other potential capital expenses that might be coming down the pipe as a result of that planning exercise.
Okay, that'd be perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? See none, could I get someone to make a motion that council receive the Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services correspondence as information? Councillor Beekman makes that motion. Any further discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Moving on to information items 12.1, we have the meeting minutes from pause from May 14th, 2025. Were there any questions, comments on that? See none, could I get someone to make a motion that council receive the pause meeting minutes as information? Deputy Mayor Reis makes that motion. Any further discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. So now we're going to jump back up to delegation by appointment. And with us, we have our citizen rep, Mr. Roger Holm. He's going to be giving a short presentation update regarding the Green Acres Foundation. Roger, whenever you're ready.
I'm on. Thank you very much, Mayor Van Rijn and Council, for my being able to present you this afternoon. It's my pleasure to report Green Acres activities over the last year. I believe that everybody received a copy of the report to the community, so I won't be going through that in word for word, but I would like to highlight a few things from that report. First one is that Green Acres, like everybody else, saw considerable increase in operating costs over this past year due to our annual inflation. Some of that is due to some of the issues going on south of the border and others, but inflation ran at about 3% this last year. Of course, that affects our food costs, staffing costs, fuel costs, et cetera, and these increases have to be passed on to the residents of Green Acres. The result of this is going to be, especially for here in Coaldale, Sunny South Lodge increases are going to be anywhere from about $35 to $70 per month, depending on what care our residents have. That is going to bring our costs for Sunny South Lodge people that are in SL2s, which is basically they can take care of themselves. They have a small little refrigerator, few small stove, usually end up taking one meal per day, and otherwise everything is on their own. That cost is going to increase to about $1,040 per month. Now, that is basically 30% of what they call the threshold income for Coaldale, which is $41,000 per year. And that, I'm not exactly sure how that is calculated, but it's basically what it costs somebody in Coaldale to live at basically a bottom standard of living. If we're in Lethbridge, that threshold income is actually $53,000 per year. So it's much cheaper to live here in Coaldale than it is in Lethbridge or some of the other places. So bottom line is it's about $1,040 a month for the SL2s. If you get into needing additional support, medical support, practitioners, meals for 3 times a day, etc., that is, it actually increases to about $2,430 per month. Again, that is if you are at that threshold or higher. If you're lower, have a lower threshold than that, as in all you're living on is old age security and etc., and your Canada pension, you're going to be below the 41,000, and so there actually is subsidization for that. So that's basically the highest that you would pay is that $2,430. Green Acres Foundation this past year has been able to increase affordable housing in the region. We've actually opened the second phase of Abbey Road Terrace. Abbey Road Terrace is basically right across the street to the south from LCI High School. It used to be an old monastery, and Green Acres Foundation bought it 3 years ago, and we've developed the first phase opened last year, the second phase opened this year, and it's SL2. It's basically private living for senior housing, but it's actually a pretty cool little location that we have right in the middle of Lethbridge. Other highlights here in Coaldale, we're fortunate to have the support of the Tersteeg family, the Kinsman Club, and Coaldale Wellness to purchase an e-bike for Sunny South Lodge residents. And so I'm sure many of you have seen that little 3-wheeled vehicle going around town with the staff member taking one of the residents for a ride. And boy, it is extremely popular with the residents that we have here in Coaldale. One other thing that we find as Green Acres Foundation anyways, pretty special was that we received the Minister's Senior Service Award for our Safe Suites program. And this is the first of its kind here in Alberta. What the Safe Suite program is providing a safe place for abused seniors, whether it be physical abuse, verbal abuse, financial abuse, or just strictly neglect. We have set up in 3 of our residents a suite that is available for somebody who finds themselves in this situation, where we can move them into that safe environment because our units are highly secured. They're comfortable because they're around other seniors, and it's a safe place until they can get the help they need. And we provide that for 3 months for free until the people can get their feet underground and get the help that they need. It's kind of interesting that a couple of the people that have actually moved into that and needed it have actually stayed as permanent residents afterwards. So it's a real success story for us here in Southern Alberta, because it's the only place that we can allow seniors to get there. Another one, because it is kind of end of tax season, or I think most of us are supposed to have paid it by now, is municipal requisition. It's always a hot topic when everybody gets their tax bill. So just to give a little heads up on that, every property payer in Alberta pays a requisition amount to the local housing management body that provides lodging and accommodations for seniors. So it doesn't matter where you are in the province. If you're a taxpayer, there is requisition. Green Acres Foundation was established through legislation to be the local housing body for our region here in Southern Alberta. Green Acres Foundation requisitions municipalities to maintain a reserve to ensure that buildings are operated by Green Acres Foundation are well maintained and meet the residents' expectations, and to get a reserve built up so that we can continue with future growth, as in build new buildings. Requisition dollars are not used for operating costs. They're only allowed to be used for capital projects such as major renovations, major maintenance items, as in a boiler goes, heating system goes, or to build new buildings. Total requisition for 2025 is going to be approximately $4.2 million. And that is spread out amongst taxpayers in Lethbridge, Colehurst, Picture Butte, Barons, Nobleford, the County of Lethbridge, and Coaldale. And requisition makes up usually about 9% of Green Acres Foundation's total revenues. Something I guess that as a Coaldale resident, I'm glad it's shared amongst all the rest, is that the dollar value is based on about $5,800 per suite. Green Acres Foundation operates 720 lodge suites. Of that, 176 are here in Coaldale. So we've actually got about 24% of the total lodge accommodations operated by Green Acres Foundation here in Coaldale. And we share that $2.4 million over all the rest of the communities. A few little fun facts. Coaldale or Green Acres Foundation has about 410 full-time and part-time employees. Green Acres Foundation in 2023, I haven't got the 2024 numbers, was the largest single employer here in Coaldale. I don't know that Dennis Dirtworks has passed this yet. We cook on average and serve approximately 645,000 meals last year. Cleaned about 32,500 rooms. And we conducted about just under 11,000 social events in our facilities or our communities, as in putting on games, sing-alongs, et cetera, for the residents. So we're pretty busy group of people with Green Acres Foundation. And also Green Acres Foundation, through the cooking facilities in Coaldale, provides Meals on Wheels for Coaldale citizens. So with that, I'm going to leave it there for now. Any questions?
Thank you. I'll open it up to members of council. Any questions, comments? Deputy Mayor Reis.
Thank you, Mayor Van Rijn, through to Roger. Thanks for your presentation today. Just a quick question about the Safe Suite program. So if a person goes into the Safe Suite program and they're there temporarily and they decide they want to stay there long term, are they bumped up on the waiting list, or how would that work?
Okay, so the Safe Suite program right now. So the good and bad news with Sunny South is we are fully subscribed. Coaldale is fully subscribed. We have a number of other facilities that are under Green Acres care that are not fully subscribed. So they may not get the exact choice that they want, but we would make sure that they have a place to stay. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Mayor, and through to Roger. Good to see you again, and thank you so much for your presentation. Just as an aside, my wife really enjoys participating and helping out with the bingos on Friday afternoons, and seems like the seniors have been really pleased with that little activity. And just for myself, and I guess from members of council as well, you know, I've really enjoyed showing up at events at the seniors lodge, from teas to little events that they put on for the seniors, and invite council to be a part of, which I really appreciate that, and I just trust that will continue, because I think it's just that type of engagement that allows us as council to see a little bit of what happens at the lodge from the activity side. My question to you, Roger, is this: I know that COVID was a real stressful time and strenuous time for both your staff and for the residents. I would assume that now that things have kind of gone moved on, that the happiness rate has really improved at the lodge.
Absolutely. That's one thing that we do a survey with both the staff and the residents every year, and the feedback this year has been very, very high in that 95, 97% support or positive side of it. So yeah, that has been really good. One thing with COVID, it was kind of interesting that during that time, we really did flatline as far as new residents. Even though they could come in, most people stayed where they were for that 2-year period. And so I guess through attrition, our numbers did actually drop during that 2-year period, but they've actually come back up, and we're actually getting back into that 92% occupancy rate, which we really are kind of looking for anyways, because you never want 100% because you've always got to be renovating as people move in and move out. So if your summers are on that 90% plus, that's awfully good. And just to follow up, thank you and your wife very much. Like, the volunteers that come into our facilities they're magical, because it's a new face, it's somebody else coming in, and most of the people that come in to volunteer, they are very engaging and want to be with the people that we have in our communities. So thank you.
Thank you. Last opportunity, questions, comments? Well, as always, Roger, we're proud that you're representing Coaldale on the Green Acres Board and keeping us up to date. And your notes that you had today, is that your chicken scratch again, or is it actually typed?
Chicken scratch, but I can hand it to Lana.
Okay, because I always like borrowing some of your comments when we do our updates. So with that being said, could I get someone to entertain making a motion that we receive the Green Acres Foundation delegation as information? Councillor Pickering makes that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. That concludes the open portion of the meeting. I will require a motion that we go into closed session at 5:37 p.m. in accordance with section 197-4-B of the Municipal Government Act to discuss matters exempt from disclosure for items 13.1, subject to section 23, local public body confidences, and section 24, advice from officials. Who cares to make that motion? Councillor Saylor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We will take a 5-minute break.